Meow! This is Frost Kitty Paw, your neighborhood-friendly cat that does art and things, and is apparently now some type of fake VTuber. In this video, I'll be showing you how to add the Christmas hat and other accessories to your avatar from the Christmas pack I made this year in 2021. So I'll just go ahead and get into it. So when you get the pack, there'll be 2 assets in the folder FKP Christmas 2021. It'll be free hat or full pack. If you got the full pack, it'll be the full pack. If you got the free pack, it'll just be the hats. So I'll just be showing it with the full pack. So what you want to do is have your avatar set up in Unity already. Then drag and drop the full pack into the hierarchy on the left. Once it's there, you'll want to unpack this prefab. The prefab is a prefab of other prefabs. So if you just click, let's see, unpack prefab, unpack this one without unpacking all these hats. So from here, you'll want to select, oops, I don't have access to my keyboard. There we go. Now I can see what I'm doing. So you want to select what you want to put on. In this case, I am going to take this red hat here. So I'll select the red hat. It'll select it here on the left in the hierarchy. It'll be hat bones P red. If you're not seeing the shaders on this right side, that's because you don't have the Pyomeme shader. You can get that for free through the GitHub. I have that linked on the Gumroad page. If you need help with that, just message me and I'll do my best to help you. The difference between the right and the left side here is the left side is the standard shaders and the right side is the Pyomeme. The Pyomeme looks a little nicer for cartoony characters, but standard's also pretty nice. If you want to use the assets on a Quest version, you'll need to change the shader to a standard light. You can easily do that by selecting it, then going to the shader side, and then going from standard instead due to VRChat, mobile, and then standard light. And it'll be pretty much similar to standard. It won't look exactly the same, but it'll look alright. For this case, I'll be using the Pyomeme. So what I do is pull my hat of choice out. I guess before I do that, let's go into detail what's in the pack as well. So there's several colors for each item, as well as several versions. So you have red, green, blue for most things, as well as black for the hats, and then different metals and color colors for the colors. The ones on the far left for each side are ones with bones. So you can use these bones to customize what you're doing. So in case of this hat, I can go down into the armature and I can move bones up and down to change parts of the hat and make it fit my avatar a little better. You can also curve the hat like I have on my avatar right now, and do other stuff. The ones further to the right are just static meshes where I've already pre-deformed them a little bit for you. They're a little better on performance for VRChat, and if you want to do a quest, you really want one of these where it's already pre-deformed a little bit. The bow and candy canes don't have any armature to them. It's only the collars and the hats. So in this case, I'm doing a PC avatar, so I'm just going ahead and use one of the hats that has some bones to it. In this case, I chose the red hat, so I pulled that out of the prefab, and for now I can just go to this full pack and I can turn it off so it's not getting in the way. So now what you want to do is take this hat and position it wherever you want on your avatar. Just case I'm going to put a tiny little hat here. Let's see, scale it up a tiny bit. And position it where I want. And then in this case, since it has bones, I can move around the bones a little bit, make it fit a little nicer. So for the hat, there is the hat right, left, front, and back. These are best for positioning it. You can rotate, move, and scale these until it matches whatever species you're using. Right now I'm using a very, very early version of the fluffy cat that I hope to release next year. it's still not that far along. And this is an even earlier version than what I have in, say, Blender. So for now, this is just fine. Now I'm going to attach it to my character. So what I want to do is find the head and the armature. For most avatars, it'll be armature, hips, spine, chest, neck, then head. Once you found the head, you want to take your hat and then drag and drop it onto the head. And it'll do a plus. If you're getting some error saying to unpack the prefab, just be very careful to place it directly on the head and not below it. If you try to place it inside the prefab, it thinks you're trying to reorganize it. Well, the only thing you want to do is just parent them together. Once it's parented, we want to avoid a really weird issue that happens in some worlds where the asset, the accessory will have different lighting than the main body. That's due to lighting probes. So what we want to do is make sure our hat or accessory has the same lighting probe anchor as our body. So you want to select the hat itself, just the model. For the ones with the bones, that'll be below the armature. For ones without bones, it'll just be the object itself. Once you select that, you want to go over to the right, and under skin mesh, you want to look for probes, and it'll have anchor override. And you want to, for most avatars, probably just pluck and drop the body of your avatar right in there. For this particular model, I always have my model set up to use the chest as the anchor point. This helps with avatars that have a lot of blend shapes and other things that cause the body not to be the best point. The anchor of it kind of changes a little bit because of that. Also with the armature. So I like using the chest bone myself. And I'll make sure the lighting between the hat and the body stays consistent. So now that it's on, for most avatars, if you just want a constant object, it should be ready to go and you can upload it just like usual. For this case, I want to add an animation. So I'm going to do an animation where I turn the hat on and off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new animation. It's going to not really have access to my keyboards right now, so I'm just going to pretend I know what I'm typing. Just create two different animations. One will be for on and one will be for having the hat off. To make sure the avatar doesn't break, it's an old habit. I'm going to duplicate the avatar. You don't necessarily need to do this, but it's just an old habit that keeps issues from popping up. And I'm going to drag and drop these new animations onto the avatar. From here, I'm going to choose, in this case, 23 because I can't see what I'm typing. I'm going to make that one be for having the hat off. So I'm going to go down to armature, spine, chest, neck, head, find where the hat is, and I'm going to toggle it off while I have this record button on. And I'll save a frame where the hat is turned off. And the very next frame, I'll want to make sure I also have this turned off. So I can just do check it on and off. And then for this other one, I'm going to have this one be the on one. I'm going to turn record again. Then I'm going to do the exact opposite where I have the hat on. And when it does this, the characters will open this weird motorcycle view. But it's down there. Let's see, next frame, the same thing. There we go. So there we go. Once that's done, I can go ahead and get rid of this because I don't need it. Go back to my project folder. Technically, I don't need this Meownier animator created. That it just creates that when you drop it on. That's part of the reason the avatars can't get broken. I just like to duplicate so I don't have to deal with that. So from here, I'm going to want to add it to my effects layer for my avatar. If your avatar doesn't have an effects, you can simply create one. There's a example in the VRChat SDK file, or you can just look on the VRChat website for some more details on that. But I'm going to click into the effects tutorial I created for this one, or the effects side of the VRChat. I'm going to go into it, I'm going to go to animator, and then from here, I want to add a new layer. I am going to have to actually type now and figure out what I'm saying. Okay, so hat. I'm going to call it hat, I'm gonna make sure the weight's set to 1. I did this earlier, and it did not work because I forgot to put the weight up to 1, so make sure you have weight up to 1. I'm gonna go quickly over to parameters, and I'm going to add a Boolean parameter. This tells if it's on or off, just true or false. I'm gonna call it hat. It's very important that we keep this name consistent across everywhere we use it. I'm just gonna call it hat with a capital H. Capitalization is important. And the type, make sure it's bool, which is just true and false. So from here, I'm going to drop in those animations we created. So I believe 23 was the one that was off. I'm going to put that in first just because it loads a little better. And then this thingy is the other one. Let me just make sure I did that right. The funs of not knowing the heck what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I'm just blind, as always. And so I'm going to create a transition from any state to this 23, which is the off one, and I'm going to create a transition to the thingy that's the on one. From here, we want to go and click on this transition, and under settings, I turn fixed duration off. It doesn't really matter, but I want to set this part to 0. This duration time or duration percent, turn off transition itself, or also get some weird flickering. And we'll, under conditions, we'll want to add that new parameter we just created. Since this is off, we'll want to set the hat to false. And then for the other one, we'll want to do the exact same. Set this to 0. Turn off transition itself. Add the hat. And set it to true. So now it's set up on our avatar, so the animation can happen. And then what we'll want to do is go into our expressions and our parameters and do the same. So I'm going to start with the parameters. We're going to go into the parameters layer, or parameters object, and we're going to add a new parameter, and we're just going to call it hat, if I can type. And I'm going to make sure it's bool. You can leave a default value, saved, whatever you want for it to happen. If you have default, that's what it will be every time the avatar is loaded first for the very first time, and then saved will be if it saves it or not. So if you want your hat to not save between worlds or anything in VRChat, you can turn off saved. For some things that might be helpful. And then under expressions, we're going to add a new toggle. I'm going to call this whatever you want, but we're just going to call it hat. And then going to go to toggle, turn to toggle, and then parameter, we're going to set to hat. So it should be set up now where the avatar, if you open up your menu, you can toggle on and on the hat, and it'll turn the parameters to either have hat, false, or true, and then the effects layer will read it as either true or false, which will activate the animation to turn on and off this hat. There's a lot of videos out there if you have any more questions on how to do that, but that's the basics of setting up a toggle. So that's the basics of how to use this. If you have any more questions, just find me at Twitter at FrostKittyPaw, or Discord, FrostKittyPaw, hashtag or #, whatever you want to call it, 4577, and I'm pretty much FrostKittyPaw everywhere else, also Gmail, Yahoo, whatever you want. So yep, that's FrostKittyPaw with the hat. Hope you learned something. If not, at least I tried, and I got to pretend I was a VTuber for a little bit. Meow, bye!